Alright everyone, welcome back to Planet Zoo. If you didn't catch the last episode, I'd very much recommend going to watch it because we finished up the Ruby Basin making the giant otter exhibit, and I gave you a proper explanation of the entire Project COVEA, this entire series, what it really involves, as well as finally a full tour of the entire Ruby Basin as it is right now. So yeah, I definitely recommend you go and watching that last episode, but let's get talking about what we're building here today and what we'll be continuing over the next few episodes. As you might have seen from the thumbnail, this new area of the zoo is called the Petrified Plateaus. Now, to give a bit of an explanation to what behind that name, you probably know what the definition for petrified is. It generally means scared or something like that, but there is a second definition which basically means something turned into stone. That being said, I'm not sure if it really makes any sense for it to be Petrified Plateaus. It's just kind of a cool name. Same with the Ruby Basin, right? It's a cool name, but it doesn't necessarily make sense. I mean, when would you find rubies in a basin? That's not the point, you know? But I think it's good to have not only theming of the entire zoo, for example bamboo is going to be used throughout everything because it's such a versatile piece, but then you'll have certain things, for example the red shelter things that we made a couple episodes ago for the basin, they won't be up here, they are just a Ruby Basin piece. We'll have similar things, but they won't be exactly the same, which is why it keeps each area separate, but still looking somewhat similar in style. Weirdly enough, I'm already thinking about completely different projects for entirely different maps, entirely different series, but obviously that's not going to be for a long time, so I'm not even going to bore you with explaining what I've got in mind for that. Anyways, we still haven't talked about anything that's been going on in the background. As the name entails, I wanted to have tons of little plateaus that go along, and I wanted the paths to be more kind of straight shooting rather than the more wavy and combined ones that were in the basin. So if you're walking through this region of the zoo, it's almost as if you're going on a tour. There's really just going to be one path that leads around and you get views into all the different enclosures that are in this area. The enclosures that are going to be in this area are mostly primates, although I do have plans for other more exciting things. For example, in this episode later, as the title shows, we're going to be adding bonobos, and then I want orangutans, chimpanzees, gorillas. But that's really all the first half of this time lapse is, just laying out paths, creating the terrain and stuff like that, which is why I've been talking about all this stuff over the top of it because there isn't a whole lot to say, to be honest. But laying out this path is going to make it so much easier for me to do all the future episodes in this area. I'm just going to have to choose a space to add an animal, and then we can look down from the plateaus, and I don't really have to think about any personal kind of visitor viewing, which is something I really struggled with in the basin. Of course, it's a lot lower down, it's a lot more compact than this area is probably going to be. It's just going to be large open fields and jungles that you can look into and hopefully spot an animal or two, which is just so much better for the stuff I like to do and the way I like to build. I don't care about the people, I just want to make cool habitats for my animals, so you can all go suck it. But I did feel as though this area was looking a little bit samey with all the similar plateaus and terrain that we had going on, so I tried to add an arch like this, but I don't think it really makes sense, at least not to have here. It would make sense to have smaller ones with a river going under it. So by the next episode you might see this arch isn't even here, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll find a use for it, maybe I'll put some shops up there, maybe it's man-made, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Either way, it looks kind of cool, but I just don't know if it makes sense. And I couldn't do a voiceover on all this training without commenting on how satisfying it is. I've watched this over like 3-4 times for no reason, with no music, no commentation, nothing, just because I find it satisfying to watch the way the terrain moves when it's sped up this fast. And it did actually take a bit longer than I expected, so I've sped this up even more than I normally speed up my time lapses. Usually they go up to about 12 times, maybe a bit shorter if it's in close quarters. But these first time lapses that you're seeing here, these will be over in about a minute, but these have been at 15 times speed, which is nuts, but it actually works. It just makes it a lot more entertaining to watch, in my opinion. I don't know why, but I just like the way it looks, you know? Yeah. But once this is over, we'll be getting to the bonobo habitat, which is actually smaller than I want it to be. I wanted a big kind of group of bonobos. What is a group of bonobos called? A colony? Hang on, one sec guys. Communities, apparently, is the actual term for it, or at least it is for chimpanzees, so I'd imagine it's the same for these guys. I believe bonobos actually used to be known as pygmy chimpanzees. They're basically smaller and a lot more slender, more kind of elegant, rather than the sturdy build of a normal chimpanzee, which is actually kind of hilarious. If you remember from the last episode, Soup was one of the people who requested an animal to be named after them, and he requested a monkey, and I just wrote it down as bonobo before I even knew that fact. And let's be honest, if any member of the Mystic Hatters represents a wimpy chimpanzee, then it's gotta be Soup. I'm joking, obviously. Well, I mean, kinda joking. You know what? No, Soup, You know what you are? You are a scrawny, wimpy chimpanzee. How's that for your tea? Anyways, Planet Zoo, what was I talking about? I can't remember what I was saying, damn it. Right, okay, I've got it. Bonobo exhibit. Time to talk. Go. Right. Oh god, I'm an idiot. So you can probably get an idea of the size of this bonobo exhibit. It's pretty much the exact same as the red pandas, just from eyeballing it. I'll make sure to point it out on the tour, but there's a certain area that I could definitely expand the exhibit, and to be honest, I think I might do that. It'll lead it down to the river, which means I can remove that pond. We can make this kind of little area we're doing today into a more private, bedded area, and then over the bridge that goes over the river, we could have that as the proper viewing platform into the bonobos. Yeah, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, I think that is a good plan. I think that's what we'll touch up in the next episode, finish off the bonobo exhibit, or expand it more so, and then maybe we'll work on something else. I don't know yet, I've still got a week to plan, but if I want any more than 3 or 4 bonobos, then I'm definitely going to have to expand it. They're already pressed for space, that's the only stat that they're not 100% happy with. And actually, another option is to have different kind of exhibits with different groups of bonobos. I think that might be a cool idea, because from what I read when I was looking up what the name of a group bonobos is called, they actually split into much smaller groups that then merge into huge groups, but only at certain times of year, maybe for mating season or something like that. Google tells me, bonobos live in fission-fusion social groups, where a large community of individuals separate into smaller groups or parties of variable size and composition. Anyway, those are at least some ideas for stuff we could do for the bonobos, and possibly other primates, I don't know. They're really not something I know a lot about. I know a decent amount about just random animals, but it's not concrete fact, it's more just fun stuff that I've heard over the years. The bonobos of Planet Zoo also have a really high climbing requirement, so these are the trees and platforms that they can actually climb on. They can't climb on any object, but they can climb on a select few, for example the foxtail palm trees and the tamarind trees, and I should be able to reach those requirements, except when I put the trees too close to the edge of this exhibit, or the size habitat that we have at the moment, they can jump onto the rocks and just run out, and then I have to go and capture them, which I had a whole ton of problems with, but I've chopped them out because they're really just, they're nothing, especially when I move my camera around really fast. It just looks like epilepsy from your point of view. To be honest, I really don't mind the way this little wooden climbing frame worked out. It was a huge pain to make. You'll see me doing all the rotating and all the angles in a minute here. It was really frustrating, but the result is pretty nice, and the bonobos work surprisingly well with the climbing platforms. Not every animal does. The Colombian white-faced monkeys and these bonobos, the red pandas, they seem to be fine. But with other things, for example the big cats like jaguars and Bengal tigers, they can use these, but they don't work really well because they're so huge and they're on such a small scale, at least from my experience, which, to be fair, isn't very much. Regardless, they look pretty good with the bonobos. Anyways, there's not at all long left of the time lapse, so I'm going to go ahead and leave you with the rest of this. Listen to some tunes, sit back, relax, and then I'll see you in the real-time tour. Alrighty, so that is it for the time-lapse. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was satisfying, as I said. Honestly, one of the best time-lapses I think I've done, but that's not really due to my skill, it's just what we were doing. This is a lot better for that kind of thing. We're starting off here at the bottom of the plateaus, away from the bonobos. This isn't necessarily going to be the main entrance to the plateaus, or at least not the only entrance. You can see how the paths go. I might have one over here, maybe a bridge that goes over the lake. But for now, this is our temporary entrance right next to our staff huts, which are pretty much a staple of my series is now, which I seem to be adding to every area of the zoo. I've built about 5 of these, 4 of which over there and 1 of which over here, because I'm just not that interested in doing architecture. Like I've mentioned a few times, I do plan on doing some streams soon, so I'm going to be touching up stuff like this, but I need to plan out areas, so we'll be doing that in the Ruby Basin first, and then we'll touch up this area pretty much once all the exhibits are in, because I'd rather have the exhibits where I really want them to be than have to work the exhibits around the staff area. Regardless, let's go down here and take a view of the plateaus. You get some really nice angles and stuff into the exhibits. For example, up here on this first kind of viewing platform, it's a weird shape, I know, but I actually really like it. I think it adds just a bit of character to this entire region. Down here I think I'm going to have possibly a Bengal tiger or some gorillas, or I might even see if I can get my hands on a black panther, which are crazy rare. They are actually the jaguars. If you don't know, black panthers are actually jaguars that are melanistic, which means they have a high concentration of melatonin in their skin and fur, which means they're way more black than normal. It's basically the opposite of being albino, which is probably a term you've heard before. Moving along to the bonobos though, there isn't really a great place to view them at the moment. I'm thinking of putting a fork in this path on the left here and having it curving around over this so you can view down into that exhibit. But as I mentioned, I want to expand the bonobos, because if I look here in the Zoopedia, the bonobos can actually have up to 10 individuals, which actually isn't as much as I thought. Now that I'm thinking about it, it does kind of make sense with the stuff I talked about earlier with the communities that they have and the way they split into different smaller groups. But I want to expand their exhibit through this little gap here that I just blocked off with rocks because I didn't think we need this much space. So there in the future, probably next episode, going to be able to run down here to the river, maybe explore a bit down this way, but probably not far. I might for the first time use a fence that isn't the normal null one or glass and have a kind of chain link going along here, and then something on the top that stops them from climbing up and over it. But that's something I haven't messed around with before, so I'll see how that goes. So this group of bonobos will probably have access to pretty much the entire area you're seeing here, apart from the parts that are up higher. And I'm quite keen on having the idea of having more than one bonobo exhibit, so we might have another one in this kind of region, but I'll have to figure out a way to block them off from getting into the other animals' enclosures. Other than that though, this exhibit is surprisingly similar to the red panda one. They have really similar requirements, although the climbing is a bit higher and I believe they need more space generally, which makes sense. They are more intelligent animals. And of course, as promised, one of these is named Soup. Let me see if I can find him. Is it you? Not you, not you, not you, not you. And of course it's the last one I checked, the one that's looking at himself all confused. Where did all these parts come from? I thought I was just a stupid little face. Oh, Soup, you're adorable little guy. Oh, he's getting little fleas picked off his back. That is disgusting, but kind of adorable. Oh, he's going. Don't blame you, mate. He's disgusting. Can you shut up, mate? What are you doing? He's going nuts. This one should be Soup. I can imagine Soup whacking away at a keyboard. Jesus. Anyways, I think that is just about it for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Of course, if you did, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Check out all the other series we've got going. And I will see you all again next week. For now, see you later. Bye!